So I'm just finishing up a bit of a freshen up on this T4 Remo Poptop, and thought I'd do a little comparison between that and our high top T25. Just while we have them there, it seems like a good time to just do a bit of a comparison in them size-wise and what you get in the T4 versus T25, etc. So I'll get them in the shade out the wind and we'll take a look. Right, so we're back inside just before the rain, thankfully, although it is a bit noisy in here. So, I suppose the first things are the size difference between the T25 and the T4. Now, this is a short wheelbase T4. My dad actually has a high top long wheelbase, and it looks big compared to the T25. I think they're about a foot longer. I suppose the main things really are measurements on this, and I checked this a couple of weeks ago actually. And from the dashboard to the inside of the back window, which is basically all the usable space inside, in this is a foot and a half less than in the T25. And also the distance between the pillars, so the actual overall width between this pillar and the opposite one on both fans, the T25 is 4 inches wider than the T4. I'll open the door now and have a look. Now, as again, the rock and roll bed in this, the bed behind in this and the long wheelbase, that's a much longer rear part than what we have in the T25. So that is three and a half foot. So 3.5 foot behind that seat, and this distance here is quite small between where the passenger would be sitting and the back of those seats. So like, my leg reaches that, which means, yeah, your kids will be a lot closer to you. In ours, they're a nice distance far back where you can't hear them. So that's 3.5 foot. We'll just check what that is in the T25. Now, you can see the difference there. That seat's a long way back. I mean, I'm a long way back. Long way back set here. So, and behind this we have 2 foot. I don't know, was there different seats ever in the T25s, but as in the rock and roll beds, were they ever any different? But I think these work quite well. It's now, I know people had their issues with the rear-engined Volkswagen vans in that their load bay was taken up by the engine compartment. I think it works very well for a camper because that's just bed space anyway, and in the pickups as well. I mean, you got under storage where and under the flatbed. Um, I mean, you're not losing much there really, and you gain a lot of internal space. I always would have thought the T25s were smaller than the T4s, until I looked at one a few years back, and I was surprised at how big it was. Now, as for the pop top or high top, a lot of people do prefer the pop top. This van will fit under a 2 meter barrier. I measured it a while ago. It's about 1960, so just under the 2 meter mark. So a 2 meter barrier, you can drive through with that van. Ours is high. I mean, I think it's nearly 2.6 meters or something, and then the vent on top. So you're not getting in anywhere with that. But on the other hand, you have all that storage up there all the time, which is great. All the bedding and everything can just stay up there. Our tables are stored away up there, and once the van's fully loaded, there'll be a lot of stuff up there pretty much all the time, except when we need to sleep in it. Where the T25 or the pop top, that space is then gone. You also, for the majority of the time when you don't have the top lifted, you have a low roofed fan. That rear cupboard unit in here is a lot bigger than what we have in the other van, and it's got these things for the seat belts to bring them down on there. Now I'm sure there's loads of different configurations of this. I'm just working with what we've got here. Now I probably sound like I'm favouring the T25 quite a bit here. It's not the case really. I mean, I love this van now, but if a lot of people look at the T4 as kind of a more modern version, I mean, that van, that's a 92, still considerably more modern van than this would have been in 1990, and you can go right up to 2003 with a T4. So, and they did change. I mean, driving a 00 T4 is going to be considerably different to that again. They look kind of the same, but there were upgrades throughout the range, and they got a facelift I think around 99, so they got things like the blue dials and electric windows, electric mirrors, all that stuff. But that's a 2.4. The 2.4, quite a nice smooth engine, but I think they had some head gasket issues, was one of their only real problems. When I had one years ago, the vacuum pumps would sound clicky and horrible. It almost sounded like a bad tappet. But at the time, the pumps were like €700, so no one ever fixed them. They're probably gone down now. And again, things like the sliding door rollers used to be expensive. Now they're cheap as chips. The T4 is a lot more conventional, I guess. Engine in the front, it's kind of a bit more normal. None of the flat fours and all that stuff, or these diesels lying on their ass. But I guess the T25 is just that bit more quirky for people who like the kind of more bus type, traditional Volkswagen bus type shape. And the T25s are quite smooth actually. They kind of surprise me sometimes how well they are, but they do have a different feeling on the road with that kind of cab over design. It's not something that's that common anymore, so it's a bit different. T25 is also really manoeuvrable. It's got a very short wheelbase and a really good lock. We measured it comparing to the long wheelbase T25, and the wheelbase is 3 feet shorter than a long wheelbase T4, and that would be equivalent size inside. So you can imagine it's for parking and stuff. It's a fair bit more less manoeuvrable. Now those 2.4s weren't mad economical. I think they were okay. Probably beat most of the T25s, bar maybe turbo diesel with a 5-speed will probably be better than the 2.4. One of them, if a 1.9 T4 would be very good. Again, I can't really compare that to this one, because with the 1.9 TDI, this should be very good as well. And this is actually, this is considerably livelier, but then we have 20 odd more horsepower than a 2.4 T4. So that's something to bear in mind. Those were very nice as well. I remember my old one used to be screaming along at 60. At 70 it was quiet, smooth, it was lovely. So yeah, I don't know really what else to say about them. Again, 92, that van, I mean, I haven't seen any major rust on a T4. I've messed about with a few of them, but I haven't seen anything that bad. And that van is almost completely immaculate. I mean, compared to this, which was 2 years older, they have about the same mileage on them. Now, I can't say what kind of use they got. This might have spent its life, I don't know, on a beach, and that might have been, you know, dry stored all winter and then driven on dry days in summer. I don't know. But rust is no comparison. I mean, this thing was, you know, and the T25s in general tended to be fairly rotten. So I was impressed with that. It was really, really good. My interest in Volkswagens kind of fizzled out in the mid-90s. I really liked the early stuff, and then it kind of got away from me a bit. I don't like it that much, but I do like the T4 van. I do think they're going, you know, I think they will gain quite a following if they haven't already. They have already, but especially for me anyway, I really like the front of the Caravelles. This is actually a Caravelle, that one's a Caravelle, but it's doesn't have the nice bonnet and lights like the later Caravelles have. And I think the T4 was a very nice van, and I think it will get a big following in time. Campers at the moment here are now are really expensive, and seem to be really booming with everything that's going on at the moment. So yeah, I think they'd be a safe investment anyway. And it's just probably that bit more manageable. You can take a T4 into any garage and they'll probably happily enough work on it for you, where a T25, the people, they don't like seeing them coming really. They are that bit unusual and fairly long in the tooth now, to be fair. So I'm going to shut up. I'll leave it at that. It was just, I had the opportunity to do a little comparison between the two, so I said we'd do it. Got different campers coming rolling through the place fairly often at the moment, so we'll see what else comes by, and maybe do something on them as well. So thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe and like the video if you don't mind, and thank you very much, and I will see you next time. Cheers.